Well, hello and welcome to Zwift Live. This is our weekly community feature for the racing community here on Zwift Live, and I am your host, Nathan Guerra. Today, we've got something that I am extremely excited about. We are featuring the Club Ladder League. We're going to learn all about that from one of the founding teams and their team members, Christopher Reed, with an interview that we had with him. But I just got to say, this is what it's all about when it comes to the community, is the development, the innovation, the things that the community gets up to on the Zwift platform and is able to make awesome racing. And it's one of the things I've had my eye on for quite a while. And I've been watching a lot of the people in the community participate, do their own live streams, and it's been some of the most exciting racing. So now that we're able to finally feature it, we put a lot of work into doing this, and I'm really, really excited for it. But first of all, let's go ahead and bring in our co-host today, the man with the plan. It's Dave Toll. Dave, great to see you.
Hey, thanks, Nathan. I really appreciate your excitement there as well. You know, it's hard to create something that's dynamic, understandable, fun to compete in, and also watch. And they really check the boxes with this. So I'm glad that you've uncovered this style of racing. And I can imagine after what we see here today, and I'll be honest, we're going to learn a lot today too about how this all goes, right? It's relatively simple. I think that's part of the charm, again, is that you don't need to be a rocket scientist to break down and understand the scoring. You don't want to make these things too complex and keep it pure for the athleticism with just enough tactics and strategy, right? This is going to be a lot of fun to watch. And I would imagine that and one more point to dovetail into what you're saying, Nathan, is taking good ideas from other sports when you see how they create league structures or points tables, those types of things, and adapting it or modifying it to fit your sport or improve what you're doing. That's a little bit of what Christopher's doing here too. It sounds like, I must have some experience in the court-based sports like squash, I would think. So,
Dave, he actually mentions that right up front.
There you go.
So funny that you'd bring that up. Let's get right into it, because it is a long interview to make sure that everyone fully understands what is actually happening with Ladder League. So let's go ahead and jump right on into that, because we want to make sure that you guys fully understand everything that is going down with the Ladder League. So it was a great chat with Chris, actually. So here he is, and then we'll get right down into the racing. I want to welcome to the program Christopher Reed from the SRT team. Christopher's going to give us a little bit of insight into SRT as well as their involvement in the Ladder League. Welcome, Christopher.
Hey, Nathan. Thank you for having me. Very glad to be here, and I know the team is excited to put on a good show for you tonight.
Just give me a little bit of background about SRT and their involvement in the Ladder League.
SRT, so Sunrise Racing Team, a bit of a funny group. You've probably seen our name a lot out there, but we don't host a lot of events. We're kind of an offshoot of SZR, which is Swedish Zwift Racers. A little bit of a complicated history there, but basically Sunrise started off as the group that was running their morning rides. So they had sunrise rides that were 6 o'clock a.m. in the UK. And the group that was running that was a group of British guys who'd previously been on another team. And they came back together and said, hey, you know what, we want to do some racing. Do you think, asking the SZR group, do you think we could put together a subgroup just for racing with our morning team? Oh yeah, no problem. So that grew from maybe 3-4 guys back a couple of years ago to now we've got over 150 members.
Sounds like great beginnings for SRT. How does that relate to Ladder League then today?
Ladder is very interesting. It's a very community organized series. So rather than there being one club that founded the Ladder, it was actually a couple clubs that came together. So Sunrise was one of 4, along with ESCO, so Electric Spirit Company, TT1, so Team Type 1, and Rhinos. Those were the 4 clubs that came together and really said, hey, we're going to create this new league, and it's going to be basically a league that's set up for clubs by clubs. And so SRT is one of the founding members.
How does Ladder League work?
Basically, the idea, and if you're familiar at all with a squash ladder, that's kind of the idea. I'd never heard of it myself. But effectively, what you have is this decentralized group of teams. And if you were playing squash, it would be like you'd go to your local gym and there'd be a list that was on the wall. And it would show everybody who's basically a member and who plays competitively. And you could just sign up against any one of them and have a game. And it's the same idea with the racing, is that everybody sits on one ladder. And depending on who you beat, you move up the ladder. And if you lose to somebody, you move down the ladder. And naturally, over time, the goal is that everybody gets properly stratified. So you're really racing against your peers and gets you some really tight, close racing.
Are there different levels within the ladder and ranks?
Originally, the ladder was all based on the Zwift racing app ranks. And basically, the idea was that whoever your best rider was going to determine what your level was on the ladder. And we played with this a lot over time. Originally, there was even a concept of like belts. So you could be like the best amethyst team in the land or the best silver team in the land. Those went away over time. What we realized is that there was too much focus going on what the levels of the riders were on the teams. And really what it should be is about the teamwork itself. And so what we've ended up on is that teams are allowed to exist kind of across 3 levels of that Zwift racing app architecture. So like, let's say if your best rider is a Ruby, you might be able to be Ruby at the top level. Then you're going to have your Emeralds right underneath that, and then Sapphire below. And those are the 3 levels that your team is allowed to encompass. You can't go above and you can't go below that. And that's the way every single team is set up. Some of the clubs actually set up their teams so that everybody's on the same level on the teams. And some of the smaller clubs, they just don't have the critical mass to do that. If they were up to them, they would want to go across 5 levels. But what we found is that 3-level split really gives you the best mix between really tight, close, competitive racing while not being too inclusive or only allowing big clubs to participate.
It looks like there's regions to this as well. How does that work?
Basically, we've got one global ladder that everybody sits on. The regions are almost like cuts or views of that ladder, and they're based upon the time zone where people race. And that's evening time zones. So the EMEA ladder is basically UK and Europe, racing, say 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night their time. We have the same for an Americas ladder, and then we also have a ladder for Oceania. The one exception to that, and that's been relatively new just the last 6 months or so, we actually added a women's ladder to the overall global ladder. And there's some special rules around that. Basically, what it allows is that women's teams can challenge any other team on the ladder, but they can only be challenged by other women's teams. So it allows them kind of the best of both worlds. You don't have to go out into a race where you're going to be totally overpowered on a big sprint race against some bruisers. But at the same time, if that's something you want to go for and you want to move up the global ladder, you can.
So how exactly are races organized then?
The whole ladder is very decentralized. And the idea is that much of the heavy lifting is done by the captains. It's a different kind of role as a captain in the ladder league versus being a captain for, say, like a ZRL team or in DRS. And that you have the responsibility to actually set up your matches. So typically what I'll do is I'll send out a availability sheet, like as a WhatsApp poll, about a week ahead of time, and just start to ask everyone on the team, well, what day do you want to race next week? There's no required date or time that these races take place. So it really comes down to, if I can get 5 people that are available to race on Tuesday, then I go out onto the Discord and start putting out some feelers to the other captains. Last year, we actually introduced the concept of being able to post availability out on the ladder site too, which makes it even easier. But effectively, what I can do is say, Tuesday, I have 5 riders. I invite anyone to challenge us who's available on Tuesday. And the other captains are all doing the same thing. And as long as the team that is looking at that is within, it's about 7 spaces, I think is what the rule is now. It's a little bit different if you're on the global ladder versus regional. But let's just say, for argument's sake, it's a team that's within 7 ranks of you. They can challenge you, and then that sets up a match. And then you just pick the time, and then you both agree to where it is you're going to race. And then the lower ranked team will select the course and power-ups. It creates a Zwift event, and then you've got your race set.
How does someone go about winning a ladder race?
Ladder is extremely tactical. It's a 5v5 format. And what that means is, unlike a typical Zwift race, you have a lot more control over what the entire peloton is doing. And what I mean by that is, like, if I have all 5 members of my team decide to attack and sprint at the same time, that speeds up the entire race. It's very different than if I'm just out there in a race of 50, 60 people. If I go to attack, or even if my team, if everybody in that race were attacking at once, it really wouldn't change much of the dynamics of the race, because inevitably you get other people following, and they can sort of, it all gels back together in the big bunch. Within the ladder, because you're talking about a 5v5, you have a lot more flexibility to decide when you're going to attack, and you get much more tactical about it.
Can you speak then to today's specific race? Who's the challenger? Who's the challenged and defending? And why was the course picked, perhaps, if you are the challenging? And if you're not, what do you think the other team is up to?
We are racing against a team called CLS Cyclones. This will be the 3rd time that we've raced all 3 of those races in the last month or so. What you'll typically find in the ladder is because the teams are so tightly ranked, you don't get a whole lot of movement. And so you see the same faces a lot, which is good. It means that you really start to understand the strengths and relative weaknesses of some of the teams that you race against. This CLS team has been tough for us. To be honest, the last 2 times that we raced, they actually had the first across the line in both races. So they had one of their team members win. The first time we raced, they actually had the first 2 across the line. Well, what's ended up happening is that as a team, we were actually stronger and we managed to win both of those races through our combined score. The way the scoring works is the first across the line will score 10 points, and then every successive rider down to your last rider will score 1 less. So the 10th place rider only provides 1 point to the team, but everybody contributes. And so really that sweet spot is try to get into as many riders into the top, let's say 5 or so as you can. And that can really make the difference, even if you don't necessarily win the race. This time around, we're going to be in Innsbruck. So they're going to be taking on the leg snapper with Innsbruck Ring, which is, I think, actually historically been the most popular course in all of ladder racing, which understandably so. It's got a climb, so you've got your lighter climber or your lighter riders are happy with that, but it's also got a lot of flats, so your heavier riders also have something for them too. So it's going to be 3 laps. I would imagine this is probably going to shake out similar to what we've seen in some of those other races. Maybe kind of play it a little bit cool to start, but there's going to be some big attacks, I think, on that leg snapper. And if you see an opportunity where a rider starts to falter, it'll be full, pedal to the metal and really trying to drop as many as you can.
Really exciting to hear all about Ladder League and SRT. Good luck to the team out here today, and thank you so much for joining us for the broadcast.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd invite any of the listeners, if you want to get involved, check it out. We're always looking for new teams. You started out very small. I think we only had about a dozen. Now we have over 270 teams on the ladder, and we just eclipsed 1,500 races for the first time 2 weeks ago. So always excited to have more joining in. Very exciting racing, close racing, and lots of opportunity. So thanks again for having me on, and good luck to the teams tonight. All right, and if you want to find out more about Ladder, the website is ladder.cycleracing.club.
So great to hear from Christopher Reed. And it's a long explanation, that's for sure. But, I think he gave us kind of all the nuts and bolts of it all. Did you take your notes, Dave?
I did. I really did, actually. It cracks me up, Nathan. I will almost guarantee you that he is either a educator, like a professor or high school teacher, or a lawyer. One of the two. The way he explains things so succinctly and clearly, you could not ask, because that was a lot to take in. There's some elements of WTRL's Team Time Trial League. Now we're moving from coffees into rubies, emeralds, and sapphires, right? So this is really, really cool. I'm excited to see how this plays out. I was doing some math too, listening to him there, Nathan, because these scenarios will come up, right? If you want to talk about putting 3 riders, if you take first and second and 5th, that's much, much better than getting first, second, and 6th gets you a lot more points than getting 3rd, 4th, and 5th, right? So when you think about it, stacking it up, getting that win, obviously that's a great way to get things started out there, but it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. 5 on 5.
It's great. We've had a couple of attacks already, actually, and so see if we can actually get some eyes on how that's taking place, and then we'll get right down into the live racing. But right off the bat, it looks like we've had a couple of moves from it was CLS making the first moves, actually, and one right after another. So as we're out on Innsbruck, they took off out on course. We were on the flatter sections before we actually hit the bridge or the leg snapper. CLS went ahead and set one rider off the front for just a moment. Then there was actually a counterattack from CLS, and we'll get into a little bit of why I think they're doing this, actually. There is some cool stats over on the club ladder, actually, directly about the reasons why they might be doing these kinds of attacks, actually, and what the strengths are of the CLS team versus the SRT team. We also saw another attack coming up and over the top of the bridge here section on Innsbruck from CLS again. So it looks like CLS do not want a sprint finish, perhaps, or maybe they're just trying to take it to them early on.
Well, all right. We can talk about tactics really quickly. The course out here, it's going to be right around, we'll call it 27 kilometers of racing over 3 laps on this course. The feature is obviously the leg snapper. That's where not all of the climbing, but it all comes at you really in that one chunk. So, Nathan, obviously you send one rider off the front, you force the other team to chase. Your team gets to sit on. I mean, that's kind of the grind that we're going to be looking at. I'm surprised that they don't have preem points. Sprint points along the way. I wonder if they've ever integrated that into ladder racing, because all of the points are going to be waiting at the finish line. So it really is, a points race stacked into the very end of a scratch race. Really, there's going to be. I mean, I've never seen a format like this, Nathan. 5-on-5. I mean, there've been some criterium variations that I guess have been somewhat similar back to the old National Cycling League style days, just going back 30, 40 years ago as well. So, there's got a lot to figure out in how you want to race this. Is, obviously you've got your stronger riders and other riders that you're looking to have an exceptional performance to get as many points as you can. But here we go. First push right now. Don's up on the front. Team in black is CLS here, but it feels like the moment belongs to the team in blue. To tell you the truth, SRT, I had no idea it was Sunrise, by the way. That's what the S stood for, learning things left, right, and center out here. But it looks like a bit of a surge coming from the Sunrise riders.
Yeah, Beeble Box, it looks like on the front a little bit here, but now backing off. CLS coming up and over the top. That is going to be A Dodds. And we do have the live stats just so everybody knows what's happening on screen. We'll be able to update for you the points on the left-hand side that the riders are gaining if they were to cross the finish line at this moment. So it's a virtual leaderboard, as you can see. Up at the top, we always have the totals updating for the virtual leaderboard as well. Wow, interesting to see. I like this tactic here from SRT. Up and over the top, immediately using those arrow power-ups and using downhills the new uphills, Dave, with the arrow power-up.
Yeah, Nathan, I'm just stoked when I'm looking at the scoring that's going on here. This is extremely cool, something we've never seen. I got to think a shout out goes to Alejandro on this.
Yeah, big shout out to Alejandro. And today's broadcast definitely powered by Lead Out Esports. So really great to see what we're able to do.
He's part of the team over there at Lead Out. This Alejandro character.
And this idea formulated last week actually a little bit. And we were like, can we pull this off? And we've been with Zwift games and everything happened over the weekend. You wouldn't believe, like, Gabby was actually like, she gave me a hug and was like, you've been working really hard, Nathan. Good job, just the other day. But we're really happy to be able to put this up and show off what Ladder's put together here. That's really what it's about, though. Like,
it's extremely cool. It really is. Well, give Gabby a big high five from the community for the great riding that she has put together at Zwift Games. That was incredible. Great job by you, and it's awesome to hear Anna Russell back with you as well. So a lot of shout outs, a lot of positivity going on right now in esports and Lead Out living up to their name, that crew over there.
Looks like another power. Really? So today I think it's Feather and Arrow. And you know what's interesting? The challenging team, they get to select the course and the power-ups. And essentially it's like, because they're the ones who have to like take a spot and the other team is like assumed to be the better team or the team that's stronger. So then the challenger gets to go, look, I get to choose the course and I get to choose what the power-ups are to try and take your spot down.
Oh, there you go. I mean, there's so many things you have to look at in how this format works, and that's another. I was impressed to hear 270 teams have been participating. This is only going to grow as well when you talk about the concept of ladder racing. I like how convenient it is as well, right? You get your 5 together, they get their 5 together, and you're not reliant upon many other factors at play as to when you race. You can then just sort it out like a pickup basketball game, kind of.
Yeah, 100%. I see a lot of people hanging out in chat, actually, which is really great to see. And
do I want to look, Nathan?
No, it's great. Like, a lot of teams are here, I think, that are like, oh, our thing is being featured. And they're getting excited about it. Like, this is some of the most exciting racing. And they're actually saying, check out this team and check out this team and check out, like, and think about, there's 5 total members on each team always battling each other throughout. So they get this identity that's a little more expressed, I think, if that makes sense, and get to know each other a lot because they're battling kind of the same teams that are around their level.
I would imagine there's going to be a huge bump for what's going on with the organization, with new teams that want to get involved after seeing this broadcast as well. So we'll make sure that it's super clear how you can get your team into the mix. Matt Higgins up on the front for SRT right now. That is the Lithuanian flag. Oh, I
You
hope I'm
might be
not
right
wrong on
there.
that. I believe that is Lithuanian that we're looking at for Kestas there, who's been riding up near the front. It's dead even right now, or as close as it can get.
Nice
right
one,
now.
actually, Dave. That is the Lithuanian flag.
There we go.
It looks like he's been racing ladder. He just recently got into ladder, it looks like to me, back in 25th of February. I'm seeing his first ladder league, if I'm not incorrect, actually, at least for this year. Racing SR, actually, he raced the Plonkers for SRT. He also raced the A team recently. They recently also went up against, it looks like, the ESCO Team Electric Spirit Company Bohemian team. Oh, big attack though. We'll get back into what their past stats are. But Painter from CLS making a little bit of a move, and you're going to see the points update there for him. Currently, if things were to finish here, he'd have those 10 points. He's trying to be at least instigate something if he's not looking to be the first across the line. Look at the coverage though. SRT, straight line, right on it, and making it back off. Oh, is this a counter?
I think so. That was Beeblebrox there who, well, no, it isn't actually. They're just showing some strength right now, though. The boys in blue right here is that Sunrise really responding. That was interesting here as let's take a look at the score right now. You can see they're dominating here on the front. This is live scoring right now. It's so cool to see this as points linear, 10 down to 1, but all of them are waiting at the finish line here. We got a lot of racing today in Innsbruck.
Jumping in with Kestas on the front here. Kestas now up and over the top, it looks like, and I think going to back on off. He for a moment there, I thought perhaps he was trying to make a break happen. There was a couple of little jumps here, but this is one of the things that probably goes on in your head when you're in the middle of this is, because you know it's going to be all about the counter, and you know there's 5 guys that are there that can all counter you hard. And if they sent a couple and you start paying attention to who's went and who hasn't, I mean, think about the conversations that are happening in the Discord channels to really get an idea of knowing who has matches at that point.
Yeah, Nathan, you would think that there really has got to be a lot of assigned roles for riders here as well. You know, looking that if so-and-so attacks, I want you to cover that. And that's our man Hugh right here from Zwift Headquarters. Nice to see Hugh in the mix.
It is good to see.
I didn't realize he was racing today. That's Hugh Williams there for SRT.
He was like, it was been since last summer we've talked about doing this a little bit, and he was like last week, he was like, is this the week? Is this the week? Are we doing it? So
right on. He's a great guy. A good part of our team and this team right now. Matt Higgins, Stefan Slater, Tim Simpson, and the man of the match so far has been Zafod Beeblebrox here. That's rounding out this ESRT team as we got everybody together. Shout out to Chris Painter, legend here on the CLS team, B52's version. Andrew Dodds, Kestas, who we mentioned, the Lithuanian, Rich Brook, and Simon M. out here for Team CLS today.
I want to really quickly, Dave, highlight something that you said, and this is kind of a cool stat. I'm going to show you guys the Ladder League Club Ladder website real quickly, and this is this event. They call them fixtures, and they have, this is a lot of colors, and they're throwing a lot of data at you. We're not going to look so much at this. This is all expressed, though, in their last 30 days between the two teams, a head-to-head for their powers. So at the top one is CLS, the bottom one is SRT. And as you can see here, the 5-second power, 15, 30, and 1 minute is going to, it looks like, to SRT, whereas the 2 minute to 5 minute going up to CLS. And then if you go longer, you're going out to 30 minutes or so, it's going to be to the SRT team is what it's looking like.
We should hold every race at either around 1.5 minutes or where do we get out to here on this? Like well past 30 minutes. That's where we hit exactly even here.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool that they put that all together there, and you're able to kind of see the stats. Yeah, between the two teams and how things play out and how even everything is, or not.
see where the advantage lay in this. So kind of at the middle point of this race. What do you think the odds are, Nathan? This is a 10-rider group gallop here.
Well, here's the thing. SRT said that they were messaging me a little bit beforehand, like, "Oh man, these guys have
We're
it
going to
out for
spill
us."
the tea?
They were like, "They got it out for us. They're gonna get us. They're gonna have a tough
Who was
time."
the challenger?
Hugh
Who was the
even
challenger
said
here?
that he was like worried about tonight, so it was really interesting. The challenger is CLS, so SRT won the last race against them actually. So if you can actually see their history.
When was that race, Nathan? If you
Good
happen
question. I'm
to,
going to see if I can pull that up for you right now. On
because
the
these
SRT's
teams, you talked about the familiarity that these teams have, and yeah, I'm sure that they see each other more than just once every few months, because this format is really fun, and you could see how you'd become actively engaged in this. So, I would even imagine these two teams. I mean, you'd have to know a little bit more, have a few more data points, but they probably raced against each other a few times along the way out here. But this is the big showdown, the broadcast and everything else. Chris Painter moving himself up onto the front. But this is about as mixed bag as you get right now, reaching into the Scrabble tiles, Nathan. You just have no idea. Right now, those points that you see actually at a moment like this, Nathan, the team leading in points is actually losing the race because they're probably putting more riders in the wind at that moment.
Last time these two went up against each other was Volcano Flat for 2 laps. SRT won by 2 points the last time. Mahdi took first overall. Beeblebrox took second. And Dodds took third. So that was the way that it ended up playing out, actually. So now that's interesting because Mahdi is those guys are actually on the other. So first and second actually ended up, or no, first and third. Is that right? Ended up going to the other team. I'm just making sure I got this right.
So Mahdi is Simon M. Is that correct?
Oh, that's a good question. That's one thing we're going to need to. Yeah, Simon Mahdi. That's right. That's right. So actually, first and third went to CLS, but it looks like SRT stacked things underneath them to end up with more points. Huh.
It's interesting. You know, you'd have to have done a lot better in math than I did in high school to answer this question. But you look at what are the likelihood of getting a tie. What are the chances?
I'm not sure that you can tie.
That's what I was wondering. Is it?
Yeah, I think you cannot tie. I think no matter what, you're going to end up with a 1 point difference.
I think that was kind of where I was going with that, because otherwise you might end up with a lot of ties. To tell you the truth, if it was possible. So this is going to be.
I did see something in the rules though.
You know, actually, you know how you know that, Nathan? If you watch the scoreboard here, you'll notice that it is never all even. So if the points come out on not on an even but an odd number, then, and it does, right? It's always going to end on an odd number with the points if you score with the way this works. So that means that we'll have to have a winning team every time.
Taking a look through here to see if we can find anything about ties. I don't think that I've seen anything in the rules for a tie.
No, it's not possible. I'm going to get someone will help me with that. But
you can tie down to the thousandth of a sec. Oh, so like if
but on
so
points,
5v4. So if like they end up in Zwift tying. So in Zwift you can tie actually because Zwift puts you below, like if you're so close,
because you have the
no
exact same
time.
finishing time.
Yeah, interesting. Wow.
Right.
And Chasing Watts is letting us know they've done it twice versus Dirt Riz. Interesting. Huh. Well, we're about to hit the leg snapper. This is probably the next section that we're going to be talking about whether or not we have any kind of attacks. I think they're really thinking about this section, of course, Dave.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, it makes all the sense in the world. And this is well, it looks like there you go. It's going to be one more surge here. This might blow the group up. Holy cow. Wattage bazooka right now here. That's going to be Mahdi touching everybody, throwing their feather up.
Yeah, lots of feathers being thrown down. SRT covering with 2. Okay, I like what I'm seeing here. They go across with 2. You 2 go. You don't have to waste too much energy. Now another one over the top. They might be able to. Oh, I like the arrow power up there coming in from, I think that's actually going to be an SRT, Stefan Slater, maybe up and over the top, I think, is what's happening here. Arrow power up and then a double power up over the top might be able to cause a breakaway situation. We've got a little bit of distance.
Wow.
Two CLSs off the back, one SRT behind there, able to cover perhaps, but things are going bananas now here, Dave. I think this is one of the crucial points. We may see a split.
I would completely agree. And then you start looking at how things match up back in that split. If it's going to be mismatched group, meaning two riders from one team and only one from the other, that one from the other then really gets a chance to sit on. But that's not looking like it's going to. It looks like it does all come back together, or does it right now, Nathan?
Those other two, they may be just trying. They may think they have a better sprint than Simpson. They could hold off. This is where the tactics get really interesting because watch.
You're never going to want to go off the back with when you don't have the numbers here. One taking two off the back, Dave. You sit on.
They're blocking.
Well, then fine. Well, if they're blocking, that's fine, because if they're going to take themselves both out and you're only think of it as pawns on a chessboard. If you're sacrificing one, they're sacrificing two.
Yeah. So what if they're going to try and send one up the road now? And then you got to cover. I mean, not saying that this is, I don't know which way this is going to play out. So now what's the situation?
There's no way that they're blocking, though, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Good call.
Right.
Interesting.
But what, well, or if they are, it doesn't make it's not logical. What we're looking at, though, now is if you are the men in blue, you press on like crazy right now. This is a huge opportunity. It's the first time that we've seen any one team really taking an advantage over the other. Now, this is just strictly a numbers game.
Yeah, and now Bibelbrox, I mean, look at this. They see that the break has happened. Oh my gosh, here comes Hugh. They're going to just drive it now. I mean, of course, right? Get the speed going. And now, I mean, what do you do as CLS?
So, well, I mean, unfortunately, this is just the reality of a tough course. And that last trip up, the leg snapper just did some damage because Hugh is right? Just bury the accelerator right now if you're Sunrise. So SRT, absolutely, this is their moment now. You can see that they have this points advantage here that they can't squander this. They're going to continue to press on. Now, it's not a guarantee that they win, but this is plenty of time for them to get control of the situation. Right now, they just want to go ahead and put that second group on ice and not have to worry about them rejoining here. So the SRT right now, Nathan, if you were watching the odds tables, it would have been very, very even, but it swings dramatically.
I do have the Discord of SRT here. Let's go ahead and listen in real quickly.
Great.
See if there's any kind of communications coming through. I think we hear Hugh going, oh, all right, where's the push on here? And I just heard for a moment there, one of the team managers saying, giving a little bit of like, what do you need to do? What's going on?
Hi, mate. Sorry.
A little bit of die in there, of course. We'll see if we can get some instructions coming through at some point. But I think everyone's just pressing on at this point. It's just heavy breathing for the moment. I thought we had something coming through, but I think that they were saying for a second there, all right, come on, press on through. It's time to go.
Yeah, I mean, right now, there's no reason a rider in the black jersey should be on the front of this group, period. I mean, at this point now, all you're doing is holding off your teammates. Huge opportunity lies in if you can just absolutely barnstorm the finale, and you can still win this race without any doubt. And they, I mean, for a moment there, Nathan, you could see that Kestas, and he was very smart about it. He rolled through. All of a sudden, his nose was in the wind, and I think he realized, I do not want to be setting the pace here. I want to, and not even setting a false tempo, because SRT realized immediately and they're going to have to set the pace here. They're going to, in order to win, Nathan, you have to risk losing. And so that's the risk.
Okay, so what's the playback here, Dave? Like, what do you think these three, especially the SRT rider
SRT
and the
sits on this all day long.
Just sits.
So listen to this, Nathan, right here in this group, right? There's 3, 2, and 1 points. If you win in this group, in the blue jersey, the SRT rider, then you have absolutely nullified two of their pawns by yourself, right? So you have done a huge favor to you. So what you do is you don't help chase. You got to sit on these two the entire time. I mean,
these two have to break
now
him.
they're going to have to start attacking
right?
you in turns.
Yep,
they have to start attacking you in turns. Just look at that as a separate bike race, and they're racing. You're outnumbered 2-1. But Simpson right now, I think he realizes. So this is where he has to think: Do I do everything and destroy myself and only get 1 point, or am I better to settle for the silver? And as they say in the old Wild Wild West,
can he take on Painter himself or take on just one of them? Like just focus on taking on one of them, because if he tries taking on both of them,
and that's on them.
Might break him.
They've got to start. Absolutely, Nathan. But they have to start then just left, right, and center attacking you one after the other. What they're doing now isn't enough. If you see what, like right now, again, he's able to settle back in. He's in the draft. A huge advantage going. So that is going to be Rich Brook is the CLS rider with Simpson and Chris Paint. The SRT rider. Here.
Yeah, the SRT rider is going to be Tim Simpson. That's at the back. Tim Simpson. That's at the back right now.
With Chris Painter from CLS and Rich Brook from CLS.
Correct, 100%.
And so he's doing it perfectly right now. If he picks up those 3 points that go to the 8th place rider,
it's huge. That's huge.
It's huge.
Up front, CLS have to really think about. I mean, now at this point, they've got to kind of take the lion's share of this front group, right? Like they've got to, I mean, they're in a little bit of a tougher situation here in a 4v3, correct?
They're going to need to win, get 9th and 6th kind of thing.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, if they can go 1, 2, 3, then that's great for them. Then, I mean, I'm not sure they can get beat.
If they go 1, 2, 3, they win this race.
Yep. Yeah. So it's still, so there's still, that's the cool thing is because at first I'm like, oh no, is it over? But no. Look, okay, we might have one off the back. He can still do something back there, right? You still have a situation where CLS can pull something off, even though they've got
this
two
is track
drops,
racing.
Right? But now these three are like, all right, well, we got to kind of carry something here for the team.
So what you do is they're actually right now, if you look at it, we're at a bit of a stalemate moment. Because I think that this group realizes that they're not going to get caught. The guys are sitting 35, 36 seconds back. 7K to go. So we're well into the final lap out here. I think everybody understands the situation in front of them, to tell you the truth.
I like it. Everybody understands the situation in front of them. I like it.
Look how locked in this is right now. I mean, it's
so locked in. But here's the thing. We've got one more leg snapper coming. I'm wondering if we're going to see a little bit of a move from CLS here because they're the only ones that have the real motivation. I mean, I think SRT roll the dice a little bit more right now, unless they know more about the riders because they've gone up against them so many times. So some of them might be thinking, look, we need to continue to break CLS because they can still beat us in the sprint. That might be a situation, right? Where they're like, look, can we beat all three of them in a sprint? If we can't necessarily, it's a tough one.
You start looking, and I mean, as intended, these guys are incredibly evenly matched.
True. Very true.
There's very little. As a matter of fact, Nathan, when's the last time that you looked at 15-second power and saw this little variation amongst 10 riders?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Actually.
It's about 1.5 watts from the best watts per kilo for 15 seconds down to the worst. Wow,
you're so right.
That's
so
such a small window.
Has 11.9. Hughes got 11.4. And Matt Higgins has 11 points. Actually, SRT are hugely favored on the sprint. Not hugely. I wouldn't say hugely. I would say they're just a little favored on the sprint. CLS, on the other hand, if I'm looking at their 20-minute power, I'm thinking that CLS have the better. CLS are the ones that got to take it to SRT here, actually. They need to break them because I think, at least on paper, SRT just want to sprint at the end of the day here.
I agree, Nathan, because if it does end up in just a straight up throwdown amongst these 7, that's not going to work out. the way our underdog at the moment wants it to. It's going to have to go. Yeah, and I have
think
a feeling they're
CLS. I
ramping
think this is
up.
full gas up the
Yeah.
top of this and just try and break.
I think the bike
SRT.
race is on the leg snapper. To tell you the truth, Nathan. I mean, it's going to be. I guess the decisive moment is coming up very, very quickly out here. Even though we have 5.4K to go, I think they're going to sort a lot of things out before we get down to the last kilometer.
Yeah, I agree. These things are about to go wild here. They're all setting up. Heart rates are low. Things are cagey. Riders are trying to figure out what exactly they're supposed to do. I'm going to jump in here real quick, see if I can hear any kind of team planning, perhaps. Pretty quiet over there, it seems like, over in the...
Hugh
Tim,
has
you
been
need
riding
to
the front.
fucking nail that sprint.
There we go. So
Sorry about the swear
Hugh's been
there.
riding the front and
Hugh's
barking
like,
out
we're going to have
orders.
to effing nail that sprint. Thanks a lot, Hugh. Appreciate that. Oh,
it's like what do you go into the lion's den? That's what you hear.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
It's like listening to an F1 driver when they're under pressure with their crew.
Of course, I come
point.
in for just a moment, and we were shared that Discord. And hey, go ahead and jump in. I wonder if they told them that we were going to be jumping into the Discord.
You know what I'd say about that is it shows you how real and the intensity it is for these guys.
Yeah.
You know, you know this oh so well. This is a nightly occurrence at the Guerra household. But this energy is real. You can't, and that's why racing matters, too. You just can't manufacture that kind of energy. It really is what it's all about. Cyclones and the ESRT, the A team. There's going to be a real throwdown. So, I mean, just to bring everybody up to this point, we did see a split happen. And, those three riders now, that's going to be Brooke, Simpson, and Painter, are not going to rejoin by our estimation. So this group of 7 that we're looking at.
Oh, no, I just moved it back. I just moved it back real quickly as you talked about.
I'm sorry.
Tim.
The group of 7 on the front right now.
They're about to hit the leg snapper. I just wanted to make sure. Here's those 3. The others are ahead. Let's cut back to the leg snap. They're about to hit it. Here we go.
Decent chance, Nathan, that the points that those 3 accrue will be what decides this race today. It very well could come down to a point or 2 when it's all done and dusted. This is the group, though, where the lion's share of the points remain.
What's going on with the rider on the back here? Is this on purpose that he's just kind of chilling in the back, making sure maybe that he can make an attack from the back here? Now
Slater taking over on the front now for SRT. And this is it. Here we go.
There's a little bit of a move. I do see some. Oh, yep. Now we're starting to get up another saddle. Here we go. And there's
they're going
power
for it.
up. Yeah, full gas here from Dodds. And they got to make this happen. This is it. Because if they do not make this split happen right here, now one SRT off the back, they're making it happen. This is what CLS need to do because they need to break them on this line.
If they can punch 2 tickets here, everything changes and they are really giving it a go. All right. Put the accelerator down on the floorboard and... Oh, boy, they are holding on. Yet Nathan, again, they lost Slater, but Beeble-Brox, that's the tipping point out there for SRT as he's really trying to hold on. He needs to stay in the slipstream here. Very dynamic moment. Boy, I got to say, right now, Nathan, it's all on the line.
It's so close. It's so close. This is what we saw. Well, we didn't see it, but they went to the line like this just a few weeks ago, actually, at the beginning of the month with Marty and Beeble-Brox. They were all together like this. Now, up and over the top. Here we go.
It's all about Slater, Nathan, right now. It's Stefan Slater. The ESRT rider has got to make it up there. His teammate. Does Beeble-Brox wait a little bit to try to help him, offer a helping hand, a bridge back up to it's Dodds is that CLS rider, but advantage to CLS right now, Nathan.
I did not expect this. I did not expect this at all. What a turnaround. What a turnaround from CLS.
To be fair, you called the moment. It had to happen there on the leg snapper. They even with downhills being the new uphill, they needed this launching pad to take them into this moment. And here we go.
CLS is making it happen. But here's the thing. It's not over. If these last SRT riders can outsprint these 3, then there's still a sprint between these 3. And then from there, what happens behind? So SRT are totally still in this. Up and over the top now. Here comes Hugh with that arrow power up. Is this a counterattack? Hugh trying to go away, perhaps. This is Hugh now making another move. Nice move here from Hugh.
He's having a great ride. Yeah, very, very impressive. He did a lot of the pulling from lap 2 down to I would say, the bottom of the leg snapper more or less, and now he is back at it. Here we go. It's going to be Simon now back onto the front. So, wow, just body blow after body blow being thrown out here. You can see why this format is so popular. Down to 2K to go.
It's going away, Dave. He's steering around on the course. SRT have to close this down. Everybody's going left, right, and center trying to get people off of wheels. Don't hold on to my wheel. Hugh has to cover this right now, or that might be the race. This right now at this point.
He's getting up there.
28 to 27 as it stands on course. 29 to 26, actually, as more changes with CLS dropping riders. Look at them weaving. This is insane.
Oh, this is an OSS situation if there ever was one, Nathan, as there's not going to be much of a group left. It's getting incredibly ragged. Hugh, though, it looks like he's going to close it down, and that might be, that's the man of the match today. Great job by Hugh as he shuts that down, and another counterattack goes. So CLS back to the front here. SRT, though, this is, boy, CLS is liking the scenario here, but things are all even in the front group of 6.
Oh my gosh. Oh no. Okay, we got a quick little update here in the background. Apologies on that, everybody, as the points need to come back immediately. There they go. Here we go. 31 to 24 as it stands on course. Beeblebrox just barely getting back on terms.
Oh boy.
But here
SRT's going to run out of real estate pretty quickly here, Nathan. Cyclones are in the command position here.
Yeah. This is it right now. I think Cyclones, they may have this one, but they're taking good sprinters to the line, and they put a lot on the table just a moment ago. They really did. I think this is more evenly matched at this moment than perhaps we think. But I did see a lot of power-ups used.
Yeah, this ladder racing format, 5-on-5, all the points waiting at the finish, 10 for the winner, all the way down to 1 point for the 10th place rider. It's simple, yet it's not. The tactics and strategy here that you see and how you deploy your right riders at the right time to have the best impact for you ultimately, it's fantastic. It really is. And Nathan, we're just down to it now. So as we come up pretty quickly on 500 meters to go, it looks like these guys are going to resign themselves for a reduced group sprint. I guess you could call it that, or this is actually the peloton.
Yeah, I mean, we're in the last 200, 300 meters right now. I mean, this is it. Here we go, Dave. CLS leads it out.
Straight up.
Dodd versus Hugh. Hugh's right on the wheel there. I think Hugh's got one of the best kicks. Who's going to go first? This is everything. And then behind, there's still stuff to go. Oh, there's an arrow power up. Dodds goes first. Dodds is the first one to kick, but I think Hugh has the better punch. Hugh's going to go first across the line, I think, up and over the top.
There's
a couple more. There's a couple more coming quickly. They got arrow power ups. Are they going to get him? Oh, I think they've done it. CLS 1, 2, 3 afterwards. I mean, is that it? That is massive. Moving backwards, though. Let's see what happens behind here. 28 to 27 with CLS. This last position for SRT 100% matters, I think, doesn't it? Where is he currently positioned?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. So there's 4 riders out on course.
It's going to come down to... He's got to beat them both. Right? Am I right?
We're watching live scoring up there. Right. So what happens is that they move around in this group, things change. You can see that the Cyclones.
Yeah, this is it. He has to beat them both.
Lose.
He has to beat them both. That's what's going on here. This is crazy.
So it did come down to these 3 ultimately. Nathan, how fantastic. And there you go. This is what they needed to do, and that's really smart. It's just attack him one after the other until hopefully you can finish this off. So the first play is made. They're moving around the chessboard pieces now, Nathan. Oh, my goodness. Look at how deep he's digging. Simpson can do it. Simpson's got to get the slipstream.
Oh, no, another feather power up, but he's in the slipstream. He's got to keep going. He has to go all the way to the line. Is Simpson going to do it? He's fading. It's
all right here.
Oh,
he's going to get there.
He's going to do it. Simpson, come on, Simpson to the line.
One last surge, dimming the power grid.
It's meters. Simpson did it. No
right there.
way. No way. SRT did it. I can't believe he did it. He's the man of the hour. That's crazy.
Well, I tell you what, Tim Simpson unlocks hero status in the ladder format. We've got a favorite new format to call, Nathan. Could do this all day long. Unreal.
That was so awesome. Honestly, I haven't seen that was such good racing. Like, seriously, what a kick to the line. Holy cow. Tim Simpson, the hero. Because, like, I mean,
And
what the heck? Like, the drop early on, what's happening?
they
CLS threw every card on the table, it seemed like. Q comes through with the first across the line. I mean, there's so many plays, Dave, that we could watch back.
Right. So if Hugh doesn't win that sprint for first, everything changes, right? Because of the point swing that you see there. Tim Simpson doing so. CLS really probably needed to activate the attacking more. They left it a little bit late. Well, they trusted in the sprint. And Simpson really fought to get back into the draft. Once he did, this was lights out at this point.
Oh, man.
And that's I mean, that, Nathan, shows you how everyone, see, that's one of the things that we've talked about. How do you keep everybody involved? It's not by scoring points down to 75th place in the 1,000th sprint that you have. That's not how you keep people involved. You keep them involved exactly like this. Right, that sprint for ultimately 8th place decided everything.
Look, it's Hugh at the top, and then 1, 2, 3. But then they stack the next one.
That's where you had to think. That, Cyclones sweeping 3 of the top 4 spots, and they still.
Every place
it's
matters.
Just incredible.
Every place. Right. I love it.
Yeah, and that's what you're looking for.
Yeah,
sure, with racing, it's compelling in no matter how you look at it. It's compelling. So very fun. Big shout out to Christopher Reed as well.
Oh, Christopher Reed, the Rhinos. I know there's a lot. Actually, there's a ton over there, and I'm actually going to take a quick look and just make sure we get the, a little bit. Christopher Reed, Gareth Hay, Gordon Sloan, Ryan Cole. I mean, there's a whole bunch of people over there that have the over at Electric Spirit Company as well. Really huge coming in from Douglas Cook. I know he's taking a little bit of a break with all of the work that he's put in, but I mean, there's a lot of people that have put the work in to make this happen.
Yeah, this is really a great example of community. The for racers by racers concept, where you can see how they know what they want. They understood how to execute it. The webpage looks really slick and clean. And I'm going to guess if we said that there are 270 teams involved, benchmark that moment today, that we're not coming into the busiest time of year for Zwift, and I still think it grows. If we check in next year at this time, Nathan, I bet you it's over 500 teams.
That would be pretty awesome, actually.
I'm bullish on it.
Very cool. So Dave, talk a little bit for just a moment. I'm going to see if I can actually maybe get one of the winners on the line here real quick. But I just want to real quickly there's going to be the Cyclones. They're even, I think they're tied up on the matches in the last couple of weeks. So I think the Cyclones are going to be coming back for this. Like, hey, they got beat here, and the cool thing is they can go do some research and be like, where do we need to beat these guys? We thought the Leg Snapper would do it for us. We thought Innsbruck was the place, but they might have challenged on the wrong course or wrong power-ups.
Yeah, I mean, that element reminds me of boxing, as far as the first thing you want is that rematch, right? And that's the stickiness of this racing. It keeps you coming back and wanting more. And these teams will also be challenged by other teams on that ladder, right? Always moving up or moving down. And yeah, fantastic format across the board.
Such a good format. At the end there, I just couldn't get enough of like how cool it was that you could keep going too. As far as a broadcast goes, the fact that you can just keep pushing this a little further and a little further throughout until everybody finishes. I thought coming into it, I was like, it could just be over from the get-go. But because these teams are so evenly matched, I think you don't end up with that as much.
Well, and I mean, it was midpoint in the race when that group of 3 became detached, but you realized all of a sudden that, the way things are going and looking at the sprint numbers from these guys, that very well this race could be decided by those 3, which had to keep their focus laser-like on what was going on out there, and forced them. The tactics they were deploying in that group were as high level as the tactics that were happening in the front group, and that's really what a lot of racers are looking for here. Is they want to get their brain engaged in the racing and the sport as well. It's not just an exercise contest, is it, Nathan? Have you ever heard that before?
No, yeah, I've heard that a couple of times in the
Have you?
past. Yeah, quite a few times. I'm not sure we're going to be able to get the winners in. I was hoping to be able to get a winners interview in real quickly, but I think they're a little busy celebrating and throwing some champagne, most likely in their Discord. So, what a good format, though. Hey, everybody, you heard in the interview. If you're just tuning in, we just covered Club Ladder. You can head on over to or just search Ladder League on Google or whatever your search engine might be, and you can find it pretty easily. It comes up real quickly. You can get involved there. They have a great Discord with a lot of information. They're very responsive, and just a big shout out to those who got this going, because it's one of the coolest things I think that we have out here. It's Rhinos, Electric Spirit Company, Team Type 1, and SRT Team, the founding teams that are out there. And I know that there's a ton of team captains that also make this happen. I also see a lot of messages both coming in privately as well as in the chats that are super excited with the fact that we're covering this. So maybe it's a little bit of a feature we need to put on the calendar more often, Dave.
I agree. I think this is a hidden gem that I'm glad you were able to uncover. We're not back next week, Nathan, by the way, because I'll be with you in Spain, in Mallorca, for Zwift Community Live. So it won't be next week.
Yeah, good call. Actually, this is our little promo for that we had. I just happened to have it sitting here. But we are going to be in Mallorca next week and spending some time with the Zwift peeps, as well as some of you that are joining in. So, hey, I really appreciate everybody in the chat and all of the positive feedback about this. We'll get some more Ladder League coming up. We will not be live on Zwift Live next week. It'll be our first time gone since I think we launched this new community feature last September. But we will be back the week after for the Zwift Racing League finals for 3 weeks. So we look forward to featuring the rest of the Zwift Racing League, and then maybe we'll get a ladder on the schedule. But from Dave and I, thanks everybody for hanging out, and we'll see you in 2 weeks for the Zwift Racing League finals. As always, ride on.